Right about now, you're probably wondering, why is he cutting open a foam slide? And the reason for that is that in these ones, there's actually something to look at underneath the hood. So let's get into them. Hey, what's up, Zach here. And today I've got the Xen Sport and Recovery Slide by Xenon. And it is the most advanced sport and recovery slide on the market. And why am I so confident in saying that? It's because I was one of the ones that designed it. And yeah, I mean, I'm putting my name behind this. This is a collaboration between myself and Xenon Paddle. It's meant to be a sport and recovery slide for all sports: tennis, basketball, paddle, pickle, running, whatever you might be doing that your foot needs recovery from, or just a sandal that you can pretty much wear all day and be as comfortable as a shoe. This is what we designed it for. I will get into kind of the history and the backstory of this slide later on in the video, kind of at the end, but first I want to take you through it and show you all the different features of this slide, which, like I said, make it the most advanced one on the market. All right, now since these are slides, they don't really have uppers, I'll start with the uppermost portion, which is the dorsal retention strap. And even though it looks simple enough, this was actually one of the hardest parts of the slide to get right. What we wanted it to do was, number one, mold to the foot over time, but number two, not be so floppy that it didn't hold your foot in place, but also allowed adequate toe splaying to allow your metatarsal parabola to just expand the way it wants to, kind of recover, allow your toes to have as much splay and to have as much airflow get through here. How we accomplished that was a case of rubberized EVA. Now that rubberized EVA goes all the way around the shoe. It is a little bit more of a dense rubberized EVA, that way it resists wear. Also, that's how we got it to mold to the foot so well. So when you take them out of the box, they actually are gonna feel pretty dense, and they do require a little bit of break-in. So normally we say if you break them in with socks, that really kind of takes that break-in away. But on the back side of that, about an hour of break-in. It's about an hour for high arched feet, then it's less and less for medium and low arched feet. But on the back side of that comes a completely custom molded dorsal retention strap that actually holds its shape. I know we've seen a lot of these now where they kind of only have a little bit of a hole at the end, which we kind of thought, like, what is that really doing, right? You're not getting a lot of airflow through there. So with these, we're getting maximum airflow through the sandal without having to sacrifice any stability with the slide. All right, so getting into the midsole teardown, as you can see, these are two different slabs of foam here. Now, we knew we wanted the outer layer to be rubberized EVA for its molding capabilities, a little more durability, but the actual footbed, we went back and forth on which foam we wanted. We went back and forth from PEBA, nylon-based foam, and we finally landed on TPEE foam, which is thermoplastic polyester elastomer foam. Now, these were the 4 finalists of that category. These are all TPEE, they're just different densities of that, showing you that even though a company says they're using a PEBX-based foam or TPEE foam or thermoplastic-based foam, which is a lot of these foams, there are still a ton of variations. As you can see, there's a little smiley face on this one. That's the one we ended up choosing. We wanted to go for kind of the right mixture of shock absorption as well as energy return. And the reason it took so long for us to nail down even the exact subset of TPEE foam is that when I've seen certain sandals, some of them are very kind of dense and hard. They're more waterproof, right? You can take them in the shower. There are others, though, that have gotten to this point where they almost feel, like I said, like a squishmallow. Now, when you've got a foam underfoot that is this squishy, yeah, it feels comfortable to the touch, right? But when you're walking around in that, when this foam is this squishy and has this little structure, you're actually doing way more work to keep your foot stable. Your peroneals, your posterior tibial tendon, your tibialis anterior are actually working overtime to stabilize your foot because what's underneath of you is just so unstable. And that's why I haven't really understood why some companies have been going so far that direction. Yeah, they're fine if you're just sitting around in them, right? If you're sitting on a chair, just, you know, kind of lounging around. Yeah, they're great because they're just so nice and soft, just getting up and going to the bathroom or whatever. But for any extended period of standing or walking, those are actually going to cause more strain than they are going to, you know, help alleviate. And so that's why we kind of ditched the super, you know, squishy foam for more of a thermoplastic, more super shoe foam, right? This is the same material you find in a lot of different super shoe running shoes. And that's because it provides adequate energy return, but also enough shock absorption and enough feelings of comfort underneath of it. Now, we put that foam in the first mold of the sandal. Yeah, it felt great, right? I mean, everything kind of worked together. Those two foams really did interact well. And so when I was walking in the first iteration of the sandal, I noticed that, yeah, it's comfortable, but it acts like every other sandal where you kind of come up your heel comes up off the ground, and then the sandal smacks you in the heel. And I wanted this to be a slide that would actually move with your foot. So that's why I designed this very thin, low profile carbon fiber plate that's sandwiched between the foams. And it's not for jump height, it's not for explosiveness or anything like that. It's simply to make the shoe move with your foot. Now, as you can see, it extends a little bit further medially or under your big toe joint, and then a little bit further laterally under your heel. And what happens is when you engage your forefoot, it makes the back of the shoe want to come up with you. So the sandal more flows with your foot. It's not a slide that just smacks you when you're walking. And when we put that in the sandal and got kind of the final mold of it, we noticed that, number one, the TPEE breaks in so nice and kind of feels, you get that real like lively feeling underfoot. It doesn't feel like a squishmallow, but it just feels very energizing, very lively, but also it has kind of that nice molded feeling of that rubberized EVA. But the other thing is it does not want to buckle underneath of you, right? It keeps its structure, and it actually has quite a good, launch to it as well. Look at this thing, I did it on the bounce height test. I actually got 41 centimeters in the rear foot, 38 in the forefoot, and that's kind of typical for a thermoplastic on top of an EVA type foam. Just showing you this thing does have, a lot of energy return to it, and that's what you want, right? You don't want to have to be putting in a lot into a slide. You want that slide to kind of be giving you a little bit something back. So when you're actually moving around or walking around in it, you're not having to stabilize the slide. The slide is doing that all for you and just allowing your body to recover. But getting into what is my favorite part of the Xen is the outsole tread. Now this is a footprint pattern. This is the same, kind of skin lines you're gonna see on your big toe. But if you look at the bottom of these also, these are pretty wide, flat, and chunky on the bottom. And that is to keep these more stable on the ground. So any kind of, we're trying to get rid of as much micro motion as possible. That's why it's designed like this. And that kind of brings me right into the fit of these. These run 1/4 size up in terms of width. And so in the first run of these, it's just gonna be whole sizes, and we made a certain size range of them because, shocker, it's really expensive to make footwear on a first run, first mold. So once, we do this first run of them, then the sizes will start expanding out, both smaller and larger. Now, in terms of, narrow, medium, wide, I'd say a narrow, medium foot, you can go true to size on these. A 2E, go true to size, I did, and I was fine. Even a 4E will break these in true to size. If you wanna go up one size and you're longer toed, longer footed, then I think that's fine to do. But like I said, in terms of the break-in, the higher arched you are, that's gonna be how long the break-in time is. I know when I had some of my testers in these, the higher arch people, myself included, said, yeah, about an hour of break-in. And then the people, as the arches got lower and lower, the people were saying like, what break-in are you talking about? But also remember, with that break-in time comes that custom molding. Now, in terms of any lumps, bumps, bruises, ailments, snake bites on your feet or ankle or leg, that's why we designed these. These were designed for ailments in mind. Shin splints, ankle sprainers, peroneal tendonitis, posterior tibial tendonitis, heel pain, ball of foot pain, arch pain. These things were all taken into consideration with these sandals. So at least in my opinion, in terms of any types of snake bites, thumps, bumps, and bruises on your feet, ankle, legs, lower back, whatever, these are the best ones on the market for. Now, obviously, if you've got debilitating heel pain, you probably should be in a very supportive shoe with an orthotic trying to rest that. But in terms of a recovery slide for that, in terms of a sports slide, like I said, we tried to keep those ailments, those types of people front of mind when we designed these. And getting into the performance of the Xens, interesting story. I took these to Legoland and Disney for 2 days straight. I had socks on, had 0 foot issues for 2 days walking them all day. So it just shows you these are designed to be worn all day. And they are designed to really take a beating from your foot, and they're designed to move like a walking shoe. And that's kind of the rub on these things. We did not want to make these just shoes that collapsed under your foot. We also didn't want to make them so stiff that they didn't really do anything. There is a waterproof coating on these. I will say that when I was getting the basketball hoop in here for my new studio, that I thought there was water in the base, and it turned out to be antifreeze, and I spilled it all over my bare feet with these. And that did take the coating off. So they were not waterproof after that. But barring any antifreeze incidents with you, they should be just fine in terms of that. Like I said, they do have that coating on them. So really, if you're using these just for lounging around, hanging out, if you're using these for all day walking, if you're using these for recovery or just something to throw in your gym bag, these do have use cases for pretty much every sport application. I know me, every day I make these videos on this concrete floor, I'm wearing my pair, and I've had zero issues yet. These have been one of the most comfortable pieces of footwear I've had just for static stance, just standing around all day in them. And these are available to order right now. I have links in the description below. Right now, the two colorways we have are the dual blue as well as the rock gray, named after my alma mater, Slippery Rock. There will be more colors coming down the pipeline, like I said, as well as expanded size ranges. But right now, you can grab your pair. Like I said, I'll leave a link in the description below. And as you can see, just from all this foam here, this has been quite a journey getting this sandal to where it is now. This was the first 3D printed iteration of that. And you can see actually had the, I actually drew in the shank on these ones just to kind of, just scribble it in. And then, we kind of had to make the outsole tread a little bit different. As you can see, kind of my, marks are fading a little bit. We used to actually have a break point between the big toe and the lesser toes. It used to be a lot more hard squared. And it also kind of looked like Batman's cowl on the dorsal retention strap. We took that off as well, and that became this 3D printed model, which became, I'm sure a lot of you saw this black pair here. This was kind of the prototype colorway, even though a lot of people said they kind of like the all black, so that might make a comeback later, but became this black colorway. And then from here, we just made some really small tweaks, especially to the footbed. We didn't like what the arch was doing for a while, and so after this one, we got the other pair, which was with a higher arch in the footbed. Not a higher arch, but I'd say a longer, more gentle sloping arch. And then from that became the final colorway. That took about 1.5 years, and it taught me quite a bit about shoe manufacturing. Something as simple as a slide still does take quite a bit of engineering, especially just getting this. An industrial designer trying to take what's in my head and put it into a sandal. I mean, it does take quite a bit of tweaking there. As you can see, the images, this definitely took on a lot of different iterations before we actually got to the final shape of the sandal. So I'm looking forward to seeing the feedback, good, bad, or indifferent on them. So yeah, thanks for sticking around, and thanks for checking these out. I know I've gotten a lot of questions about these in the videos. Kind of, you've probably seen them so often in the videos. They show up in almost every video for probably the last year now, just because I've been testing them out over and over again. Been a lot of behind the scenes work with myself and Noah, my partner on this, who's the president and CEO of Xenon. And what an awesome partner he has been in this. He has really let my imagination kind of run wild and entrusted the process with them. It was really awesome to see him get his first pair, and for him to kind of like get that aha moment of like, this is what this crazy foot doctor was talking about this whole time. So huge thanks to him for making this possible. All right, respect your rubber and foam. I'll see you somewhere in the Sneakerverse.